Let's talk about Argentina, the new president, and their relations with the world, especially in terms of China and the United States. While Argentina's soccer record in the recent years has been extraordinary under Messi, the economic situation hasn't been as such. Since 2018, its peso has been severely devalued due to high inflation of over 30% annually. The government's foreign currency reserves got wiped out, and the country was known for having high tax rates. People were purchasing dollars on the black market and keeping them underneath their beds. Argentina had not always been this way. In fact, in 1908, it was rated the seventh richest country in the world in GDP terms. It would remain within the top 15 until mid-century. Although this achievement was brought on by European migration and investment, it came at a cost. Though debates exist concerning how it happened, the number of African Argentinians depleted over this period, with some research claiming migration was encouraged to dilute the population. At this time, the government was also leading the conquest of the desert to take over the remaining indigenous lands in the area. If we look back at the remaining time between now and 1900, we see that Argentina's story has always been a question of economics. Like other South and Central American countries I've covered before, the Cold War in Argentina saw schism between left and right-wing governments brought on by a divide between ruling elites, military, and the working class. Like with nearby countries, the country was held back by its slow industrialization and possibly the vestiges of Spanish colonial class structure. But Argentina is different too. Although the CIA and US government did play a role later on in the Dirty War of 1974 to 1983, when death squads cracked down on political opponents and up to 33,000 people were killed or disappeared, the earlier social justice-oriented government of Peron harbored Nazis after World War II precisely because some elements of Argentinian society wanted to remain neutral in the Cold War, as they had during the World Wars. Of course, neutrality could be possible without allowing war criminals safe haven, but Argentina's story, like others, reveals the importance of how caring for domestic divisions can get twisted with exterior ones. Despite the errors of the past, pragmatism and having an open mind seem to have remained in Argentina. Last year, Javier Milei was elected, and last month the country saw the first week of zero inflation in 30 years. Though I would not describe myself as a libertarian, what stands out to me about Milei is his honesty. He was straight with the voters, telling them inflation would get worse before it got better. Argentinians, despite past political beliefs, voted for him because they wanted something, anything at all, that would change the situation. A lot of news focused on Malay's ability to bring down inflation, but what has often been missed is that the poverty rate has hit 57%, its highest rate in 20 years. What does this mean for Milei and his economic policies? If there's anything Argentina's previous history displays, it is that the present time should not be seen within a vacuum. The past matters. The division in Argentinian society that began with the structure of the Spanish society in colonial times led to the problems of the 20th century, which then caused more welfare problems later on. The problems today are still linked to that. No situation can be solved overnight. This is why I am hesitant to say I am a libertarian, while still wishing to see Milei try something new. Policies in the past have clearly not worked. Unfortunately, perfect situations do not matter. Hopefully Milei is right that things will first get worse before getting better. It seems a proportion of the Argentinian people understand this as well, at least for now. If inflation can be brought down, the job market may expand and poverty may begin to decrease as well. What the government needs to pay attention to, however, is the line where this experiment should end. I applaud the Argentinians for their reasoned approach and openness to try something new. This shows they aren't bound up with one ideology. However, if they stick to this new one, even when some changes need to be made again in the future, it all may be for nothing. The great thing about democracy is that it allows government to switch policies when one's party political bent isn't working. Follow for part 2.